So today I want to talk to you about media law and ethics. This is a class a lot of you don't necessarily in the film industry think is necessary. I've got between film students, media students, journalism students, it is extremely necessary for all. And there's a reason for that. It's not just simply about knowing what the laws are and how to abide, or even on one level, how to break the law when you have to, but it's about a lot more than that. There's something that changed in the history of the world with film, with camera, and with digital revolution, and that's on an ethical level. Previously, when we used to talk about cultures, when we were speaking before the printing press, or when we were speaking about oral traditions, or speaking about history of culture and ethics and law, the narration, the storytelling, was by specific people, usually the older, the wiser, the more educated, would have the narration of what is to be told, how to teach the youth, and what to tell them. That created an easy way for creating a mythology and a system of ethics which people would understand, appreciate, and accept as a culture. This changed a lot with the printed word, because of course now there was more than one storyteller. With the emergence of film, when film first started and we were working on 35mm or 16mm or 9mm, it was very expensive to produce film. So who could speak was still very limited. And the control of ethics and media basically fell back to those who were more educated, have been given more privileges in life. I'm not necessarily saying that these are the better people to speak, or these are the people who should represent us, but it gave a limitation to whose voice was actually heard. And the fact that we taught using cinema, using television, and the house would only have one television, meant there was a sense of community and grouping. So people would sit together in large groups to actually learn the material. People would commune together, they would be together, which created a common sense of ethics and morality that was learned through the film and through the media that was exchanged, because the group was always together. The new digital revolution, and especially phone technology, has created something which is completely unsurpassed in human history, which is your education. And no matter how much I praise teachers, or how much you would like to revere older people, or revere religious figureheads or moral figureheads, at the end of the day, time equals love. The highest influence on youth right now is cell phones. And it's social media, and it's viral communication, and it's digital communication. The adding of digital platforms, even for entertainment, it was a great move towards independence. But at the same time, it created a new cultural anomaly, which is the singularity of education. You're choosing the source from which you're getting educated. You're choosing the voices you listen to. And now that digital media is so cheap and so easy to produce, anyone can make a movie. And with the newer technologies, it's getting easier and easier to produce, which means everyone can create content. Which means the new generation doesn't necessarily have content which is provided according to a guideline or an ethic or an ethos or a cultural stipend. It's not limited anymore to a culture and a mythology, which means the youth are now growing nearly independently and self-educating themselves. So why is this so important for media students? Because you're the content creators. So not to put a great point on this, but it is actually a very big burden, because you, the media you create, the content you create, will in a very big way educate the youth and educate the next generations and create the next cultural values, and thereof, whether the lack of them or the change of them, the confrontation with authority, the confrontation with government, all this will be created by the youth, by you. So it's extremely important for you to focus on media ethics and ethical theories, so that you can have a philosophical background, a grounding for your work. In my course, I'm not trying to teach you to do what's good. Usually ethics teachers have a very kind of skewed vision towards the good or creating people that are morally valuable to culture. I want to teach you both sides of the coin, because at many times culture has changed, ethics has changed, norms have changed, laws have changed, and you are the ones who are going to do these changes. So you have to be able to decide, when is it that a law is good or still good and still relevant, and when is it that an ethic or a law needs to be changed, adapted, or completely abolished. You're going to have to either support the laws that exist, support the culture and the ethics that exist, or violate them and break the law in order to create something new. So with that in mind, that's a very big responsibility and a very big burden, which means you need to be ready to do this. You need to be ready to actually deal with this, handle this, and be able to actually take apart, decode ethics, decode how we make a decision and why. So when we're talking about ethical theories, and we're talking about media law and ethics, they fall into two broad categories. You have consequential theories and non-consequential theories. The words are simple and the spelling might be big, but actually the terms are very easy. Consequential theory is not a theory in itself. It is a group of theories. Consequentialism basically says that the end result is what matters. So we decide on the laws and the ethics based on what they will reach at the end. Non-consequential theories state that this is not possible. So you need to decide on the ethic and the law based on the principle, not based on what it would lead to, because we cannot predict it. Both of them have weaknesses. Consequential theories obviously suffers from the weakness of you are basically predicting the future of what this decision would lead, and this isn't always possible, nor is it necessarily applicable in the future. Non-consequential theories suffer from being too theoretical in the sense when you're applying the laws, so they don't necessarily lead with pragmatic details. So maybe practically it would be better to actually break that law right now because it would lead to a better thing, but non-consequential theories can't do that. You have to apply the law at all times. So in the next video I will get into the theories, consequential theories and non-consequential theories, and we'll talk in detail about each.